say a few words that Mr. Gross asked me to say on his behalf to this most illustrious gathering. I wanted to say a few words about things that people do not know about Mr. Gross. Both Tracy and I have had the pleasure of not only working with Mr. Gross these past 17 years building what is truly one of the greatest philatelic collections ever formed, but during that time we've also become friends. And we see a side of Mr. Gross, as well as his lovely wife Sue, a side that shows a remarkably generous and kind couple, unlike any other we've ever met. They are genuine people who feel in their lives that they have been blessed, and they are willing to share their good fortune with others. If I may, I'd like to share just a couple of stories that might shed some light on Mr. Gross. They're personal stories. Several years ago, when our son was about 5 years old, we were visiting the Grosses at their home. And their son was about 6 years old. We're in this lovely home in the living room where there's Ming vases and Monets, and the two sons are playing ice hockey with a puck that's flying around the room. And Mrs. Gross said, "Don't worry about those things. Those aren't important, but our children are." It shows the side that things don't mean that much to them. I also want to say that when we were bidding for Mr. Gross in the Ishikawa sale, we were bidding by phone for him, and he was on the phone. After buying a lot of items in the Ishikawa sale in 1993, at the end of the sale he asked, "Does your son collect stamps?" And we said no. He says he does now. "I want to give him lot number so-and-so out of the auction." And when we looked after the auction, he gave my son a $35,000 cover as a start to his stamp collection. It's a lovely Civil War patriotic cover with an eagle on it. The rest of his collection's a little small in comparison to this one item. And lastly, Mr. Gross does not like to be in the spotlight that much. In fact, he shuns it, but he does share his good fortune with others. And the day that he called me and he said that he wanted to sell his Great Britain collection for charity, he said, "Why don't you make the call to Doctors Without Borders, Médecins Sans Frontières, and tell them that they're going to get a stamp collection donated." I called the people and I told them they were going to get a stamp collection, and they kind of had a reaction, "Well, so what?" Well, after the sale was over and we presented the Doctors Without Borders with a check for $9.1 million, they allowed me to present the check to them with the doctor who was in charge of Doctors Without Borders weeping that they got $9.1 million. Mr. Gross sincerely apologizes for not being here tonight due to an unavoidable conflict. I also regret that he isn't here tonight so that you can see what a wonderful man he is. But I've been asked by Mr. Gross to say the following words. It is a high honor to accept the ASCAT Grand Prix award, especially because of its roots in Monaco. During my initial years of collecting decades ago, stamps from Monaco were my favorite pages in my small album. Having extended my collection since then to encompass a broader range of items, my original Monaco collection remains a reminder of the fascination of collecting, of bringing order from disorder, and creating, if only temporarily, an observable set of stamps and covers that is unique. Thank you for this recognition that I will cherish for a lifetime. Thank you very much.